The United States survived September 11, 2001. Its government endured. Its economy continued. Its skyline healed. But survival is not the same as immunity. In cinema, the most dangerous wounds are rarely ones that kill outright. They are the ones that linger, unseen, untreated, and slowly transformative.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Trains in the station.
September 11th was not a killing blow. It was a bite. To say that a terrorist attack achieved strategic success is not to grant it legitimacy or moral weight. It's to recognize how asymmetric violence functions. Terrorism is designed to provoke, to induce fear disproportionate to the attack itself, to cause societies to change their own behavior. As political theorists had long noted, terrorism seeks reaction more than destruction. In that sense, the most consequential effects of September 11th did not arrive on a hijacked plane. They arrived in the years that followed. Zombie films have always been about more than monsters. George Romero's Night of the Living Dead was not simply a horror film. It was a study of social breakdown, paranoia, and mistrust under pressure. The dead were dangerous, but the living were divided, suspicious, and ultimately self-destructive. The bite mattered because it changed behavior. The victim didn't collapse immediately. They turned, slowly, often unnoticed. This is the metaphor we need to understand September 11th.
The changes effective today will help counter a threat like no other our nation has ever faced.
In the aftermath of the attacks, fear became a policy accelerator. Emergency powers expanded, surveillance intensified, civil liberties narrowed. These measures were framed as temporary, necessary responses to an unprecedented threat. And at first, many accepted them willingly.
And both political parties are united in our resolve to find and stop and punish those who would do harm to the American people. It is now my honor to sign into law the USA Patriot Act of 2001.
And 28 days later, the infection spreads almost instantly, not because the virus is unstoppable, but because panic collapses social restraint. Order dissolves faster than the disease itself spreads. Fear compresses time. It discourages reflection. It rewards decisive action, even when that action reshapes institutions permanently. The United States did not abandon its values overnight. They eroded gradually, under the pressure of urgency.
I would have to have people totally committed to the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of this United States.
The most enduring spread of the infection was not governmental, it was cultural. Political disagreement became existential threat, compromise became weakness, complexity became suspicion. In The Walking Dead, the walkers are slow and predictable. The true danger comes from the living, from fractured groups unable to trust one another. The infection spreads not because the dead are everywhere, but because cooperation collapses. After September 11th, American public life increasingly followed this logic. Fear didn't just shape policy. It reshaped how Americans perceived one another.
About a dozen police officers managed to keep things from getting violent.
Fear seeks simplification. In zombie films, infection is often invisible at first. Anyone could be carrying it. This uncertainty breeds suspicion, and suspicion demands targets.
I take the threat very seriously. I take the fact that he develops weapons of mass destruction very seriously. I remember the fact that he has invaded 2 countries before. I know for a fact that he's poisoned his own people.
After September 11th, entire communities became stand-ins for threats. Religion, ethnicity, and appearance were treated as warning signs. This was not accidental. It was structural.
Omar wears a hijab, which according to the Quran 33:59 tells women to cover so they won't get molested. Is her adherence to this Islamic doctrine indicative of her adherence to Sharia law, which in itself is antithetical to the United States Constitution?
In Invasion of the Body Snatchers, the terror comes from the inability to tell who is still human. Trust becomes impossible, and fear becomes self-reinforcing. The result is not safety, it's fragmentation. Every zombie story contains a moment of moral reckoning. In World War Z, survival demands extreme measures, but the cost is the erosion of ethical clarity. The question is no longer what is right, but what is necessary. After September 11th, debates once considered settled reopened. Torture, indefinite detention, preemptive violence. These were framed as regrettable necessities, temporary departures justified by existential threat.
Rear Admiral Harry Harris is David Hicks' jailer. A polished media performer, he has the tough task of defending Guantanamo Bay. Is it a place you're proud of?
I am. It is a place that I am proud of.
Do you believe that holding David Hicks here for more than 5 years without charge is humane? Or a breach of his human rights?
I do not.
But in horror cinema, the most chilling moment is never the monster's arrival. It's the realization that the living have begun to resemble what they fear. It's important to be precise. This is not an argument that the United States was defeated militarily. Terrorist networks were degraded, their leaders eliminated, their operational capacity diminished. Nor is this an argument for moral equivalence. The violence of September 11th remains indefensible. But endurance does not equal immunity. In zombie narratives, characters often survive the initial outbreak, only to discover that survival alone does not restore what was lost. The United States endured, but it endured altered.
And there are no people here.
Two decades later, the symptoms persist. Permanent emergency logic, distrust of institutions.
I feel the government has taken advantage of a virus.
Information silos, political violence framed as defense.
Several days ago, if the federal...
Work yourself down. One more at a time. Keep down. Jail.
Come on, you little bastards!
In Children of Men, not a zombie film, but a kindred story, societal collapse is not caused by invasion, but by despair and fear left untreated. The infection does not need to be reintroduced. It sustains itself. Zombie stories are not ultimately about the dead. They're about the living. The bite does not decide the ending. The response does.
It's pretty clear. Zero tolerance for walkers, or them to be.
What if we can get him help? I heard the CDC was working on a cure.
I heard that too. Heard a lot of things before the world went to hell.
The CDC's our best choice and Jim's only chance.
You go looking for aspirin. Do what you need to do. So when he's have some balls and take care of this damn crowd. Hey!
We don't kill the living.
Don't point that gun at my mum!
Sean, calm down!
Don't point that gun at Barbara!
And don't exacerbate things!
What does that mean?
This isn't exactly fair!
Yeah. It's okay.
Please, can we just stop and think about this?
Tell him to put the gun down! Look, Lizzie, she's gonna change. You know I'm right. And when she does, she'll come back and she'll kill all of us.
September 11th introduced fear into the American system. What followed was not inevitable. It was chosen, reinforced, normalized. Infection is not fate. And if this story has not ended, it's because the conclusion is still being written.
It's amazing how quickly things can go from bad to total shitstorm.